Hi, I'm Venessa Giunta. I am an author and an editor and an all-around like to talk about things person and a little awkward sometimes. But one of my favorite things to do is talk to authors, right? I love talking to authors about their process, their writing, their careers, their marketing, all those things. And I really love just sitting down and just talking about stuff. I mean, communication is my love language. So that's really what I had in mind. I really wanted a situation where I could just have a conversation with somebody. So, and a conversation and a cocktail is really all about us hanging out and drinking together and talking about the stuff. Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Hello. Yeah, I know. Isn't it great? I love my intro. Even though I am very awkwardly speaking, I still like it. So this month for Conversation and a Cocktail, we have returning to the show, Allison Charlesworth and Jesse Adams, who are both co-chairs of Multiverse Convention, which is here in Atlanta in October every year. And so the reason that they're here now is because months and months and months ago, they came on to talk about, the 2023 show and what was going to be going on and everything. Well, we are now about 3.5 weeks after the 2023 show. And I thought we'd do a little recap. So, but first, before we get into that, are you guys drinking? Do you guys have cocktails?
I do.
You guys are doing better than me because I have tea and you know why? Because the people who are watching may or may not know, but like I've been displaced from my home for 10 months and we are moving back on Friday. So in like 4 days, and I've been packing and taking stuff back. And I just realized this afternoon that I took all the alcohol back to the house. I have no alcohol in the house. For once. So I'm just drinking tea, y'all. So you guys are going to have to get hammered for me.
This is literally all I have left. So I don't think I'm actually getting hammered, but
well, a little buzz will work too. So
that's a pretty stout cocktail there. So that should get the job done.
It is. It should.
What is
the
it?
Mini fridge. Oh, sorry.
I've got it's Maconda Mead. By Makana Meadery out of South Africa.
Oh, that's nice. I like it.
It looks like.
Oh, that's so cool. Where did you pick that up?
Well, funny story. The last time I was in Asheville, they have, they don't anymore. They had a little bar that a dude who really enjoys drinking and making mead had opened. Literally just for trying different meads. And he was able to get some meads that no other places could get. And it was really, really great. But unfortunately, he ended up having to close it down. So it is no longer here. So
that's a shame.
Yes, it is. It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to Tim, wherever he is. So
good on you, Tim. So Jesse, what are you drinking?
I am much more basic tonight. I got my Blue Moon because I didn't have time to go out and get anything else. I have the little mini fridge that we take to use at the convention made its way back to my house this year because of some packing stuff. So sitting directly behind my chair is what I have dubbed the box of bad decisions, which is currently full of an assortment of beers, ciders, and seltzers.
So you're the one that's going to get hammered for me tonight. It's going to be Jesse.
Yeah, feel free to cut me off whenever. Not from the drinks, from the show. You can cut me off.
Oh, okay. All right. So I see Anita's out there. Hi, Anita. Good to see you. Glad you could join us. All right. So for those who are not familiar, you want to give us just a quick synopsis of what Multiverse is?
Jesse, you want to start? It was your baby to start.
Only for a short time. It was quickly adopted. So Multiverse is a 3-day convention, happens every October. We shoot for the third full weekend of every October. And we have found that fall is a great time for conventions. So to go a little more simple for people who may not even know really what conventions are, it's a gathering of people for a weekend who have common interests, to put it as simply as possible. For us, the subject matter focuses broadly around science fiction, fantasy, horror, art, gaming, writing. It's gotten broader and broader as people bring in their own interests. So it's just a lot of it ends up being more about the people than about the subject matter. That happened pretty quickly with us. So there is a subject matter focus, but why everyone actually shows up is because it's fun. It's an absolute blast. You meet some of the best people, have the best conversations like that you'll have all year long. It's even for those of us that wear ourselves out putting on the show, it's still a rejuvenating experience. You know, it's something we look forward to every year. It's just an absolute blast for a weekend. And I'm sure we'll get into more of the details of what there is to do there, but that's what it is. We just celebrated our 5th year. One of them was virtual, but we're still counting it. So this was our 5th year that just happened a few weeks ago. And yeah, that's where we are. We're about to, well, I'm sure we'll get into the other news soon. So I'll zip my lips on that.
Yes. So Allison, you started this out saying this was Jesse's baby. At what point did you come on?
You know, that's a really good question. So Jesse and I grew up about 30 minutes away from one another in far South Georgia. And we were a few years different in age. And so we didn't hang out a whole bunch then. But at some point, we sort of met back up via social media. And he, when he was in Austin, was telling me about this fabulous convention that he had gone to. And I've spent a lot of time doing event planning in my life. And so sorry for the strange little jerk there. Something was falling off my table. So he was like, you know, is this something that you would be interested in doing? And I was looking for a new project, and wow, didn't know what I was getting into.
That's right. You really had no idea. So you had never been to a convention before at that point,
Nope.
when you had
agreed
to help plan a convention.
Right. Yes.
At that
Just
point,
to give a little background, I threw my first party with more than 100 people when I was 19. So this is not, you know,
you're used to jumping in both feet into the deep end.
I am.
Yeah.
Yes.
And see, I knew that. And that's why, like, between the two of us, when we first started talking about doing this, we had been to an average of 0.5 conventions in our entire lives. I had gone to one small convention in Austin, and she had never been to one. So, but I started thinking, like, what, you know, I want to get, when I get back to Atlanta, because I was just out there for work in Texas. And I was like, when I get back, I want to go to a convention, but I want it to look like, I want it to be a particular thing, have certain things like represent a certain fan base, you know, really be more, I thought, representative of more of fandom. And didn't see exactly what I was looking for. There were some great conventions, but there was just something else that I wanted to see. And I was like, okay, this is clearly a job that's way too big for one person to even go any further in trying to plan. And because I happen to know somebody who's fantastic with that kind of thing, I was like, hey, what you doing? And, yeah, but and that was the best. That first decision that I ever made was the best one I ever made, because it's absolutely like, it's an entire team of people to make it happen, but it never would have gotten anywhere close to off the ground without having both of us there. I couldn't have gotten past the 2-week mark of even thinking about it without bringing her on. So
yeah, I have to say, you guys are a fabulous team. So in terms of transparency, I started the first year with Multiverse. I kind of bossed my way into being the director of the Write track, which is writing track. And so I've been on since year one. And that first year, Multiverse became the convention of my heart. That first year, that was it. And I have been to a lot of conventions, probably definitely more than 100 at this point in my life. But Multiverse became not 100 different ones, but like 100 instances. And so Multiverse became the convention of my heart. And this past year, the senior programming position became available, and I along with a couple other people applied, and I got it. So very exciting. So this is my first year doing that, just to be transparent that I am also part of the Multiverse family. So yeah. But all right. So Jesse, you were saying that you felt like there were some things that you wanted to see in a convention that you weren't really seeing enough of in the conventions that you guys were attending. So can you talk a little bit more about, either one of you or both of you, talk a little bit more about what that was? What are you trying to encapsulate with Multiverse that you haven't really seen in this configuration at other events?
Yeah, that's a great question, because we have always said that we didn't, we're in Atlanta. There's a lot of conventions here. So we always said that we didn't think Atlanta needed another convention, but we did feel like it maybe needed a different type of convention. So the part of what we didn't feel like we were seeing from the start was like that very first convention that I went to, I was like, this is awesome. It's a small event, but I got to meet some authors that I've been reading since I was a kid, science fiction authors. I was like, this is just, and I got to like run into them in the hallway. I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. Everybody here likes the same stuff I like. It's so much fun. But then I also noticed that everyone looked like me who was there. And I was like, well, that's not quite right, is it? Like, where's the rest? Where's everybody else? Where's the rest of like the fandom and the creators and everything else? So, we always kind of felt like that was these spaces, convention spaces, are really good for, friendship, community, entertainment, but also for a lot of people, professional advancement. And a lot of folks from traditionally marginalized communities the more we looked into it, we realized they did not feel welcome in those spaces a lot of the time. Sometimes those spaces were actively unsafe or even hostile to them. Other times, they just didn't really feel welcome. They weren't sure whether they belonged there. They weren't represented. They didn't see themselves in the guest list or the people who were attending. Sometimes they felt tokenized, like they might have been brought on or brought in just because of their membership in a particular group. And we just wanted to see that done differently. So what we tried to do from the start is to take that kind of representation and inclusion and just build it into the foundation of the whole thing, to where people aren't tokenized, but they do feel like they truly have a place, like they belong here. Like they deserve to be in these fandom spaces, whether it's as professional guests or as attendees. They belong here as much as anybody else and deserve their spot as much as anybody else does. So that's what we've been going for from the start, I would say.
Yes, I love that. That's one of my favorite things, really, is that, just being able to walk in and oh, hey, Rosie. There are so many different types of people who are all coming together for the same reason. We're all looking for that space that is a safe place where we belong. And I feel like fostering the idea that everyone is welcome creates people being welcoming. You know what I mean? It creates that among the attendees, the attendees are the ones who make it that way, and it's, I love that. I love that. So let's talk a little bit about this year. So I know you guys are always really busy during the convention. So I want to ask, I'll start with Allison this time. What kinds of things did Multiverse offer this year that you were able to attend? Because I know you don't get to attend very much. And then maybe like stuff that you kind of really wanted to get to but weren't able to.
Sure. So this year I made it to 1.5 panels.
What?
Hey, that's an improvement over previous years.
That is an improvement. So in previous years, my record was 1 panel. So I made it to a half past this time before I got called out for something. So I made it to the Rebecca Roanhorse Guest of Honor Hour, which was fantastic, with Nicole Givens-Kurtz doing the interview. That was a whole lot of fun. And then Rebecca gave away she did a drawing for a few special things, and I was a little jealous, I have to admit, because those things walked off and I was like, are you sure you don't want to just hand those to me? But
can I pull the co-chair card? Is that ethical?
Right. No, can I act like I'm important real quick? Just real quick. But so that was fantastic. Rebecca is a great, just she's just fun to listen to. Got good stories. She did a short reading, which was fantastic. And then I went to half of the panel on appropriation versus appreciation in the art track. And that was a really interesting one. It was well attended. It had, I think, 5 different panelists, all different backgrounds. So that was really interesting up until I got called out. So I had to leave, of course.
Yes. It was fabulous. I love that.
Yeah.
Just
to give people a little bit of context. Oh, yeah. Just to give people a little context, when we say that Allison made it to 1.5 panels, that's out of how many events did we have? Separate events we
like
had this year?
165 or 175. Yeah. Like we have a lot of events over the course of the weekend.
We do.
A lot, yeah. There is a ton to do. But yeah, I mean, I went to Rebecca's as well, and I was super sad. She had one of those, like a UK, like a limited edition UK hardback of Black Sun with the blue page edges. It was beautiful. I wanted it so badly. But and then a full set of the signed, the variant covers of the run of Echo that she did for Marvel, the comics.
Oh, nice.
But we're super happy for the people that got them, because I think
Yes.
One of our guests, who is a comic writer and comic artist, was in that panel and won that set of comics. So like,
That's
Yes.
perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the only one I got to go to.
Oh, so you only got Allison. You got to go to more than Jesse did.
I did. It's shocking.
That's amazing. I'm also very similar. In the past, when I was just on the writer's track, I was in my track room most of the time, or like I traditionally have moderated the Girls Rule panel, which is on the horror track, which is about, female protagonists and strong women and things like that. And so like, I'll go out to like moderate a panel on a different track, but usually I'm just in my room, in my track room. This year, I got to go to the Monster Mash, which is also on the horror track. And that is where there's usually about 10 to 14 guests, plus the MC, who is Mark Abbott. And the guests are divided into 2 teams. And then Mark gives them each, like they go through several rounds, and Mark gives them each usually a villain, but a monster, right? 2 similar monsters. Like he might pick like Freddy versus, Mike Myers or something like that, right? And then each side gets like 3 or 4 minutes to come up with like reasons why their monster is like more badass than the other monster, right? Why their monster would kill the other monster. And, I thought it was awesome in theory anyway, right? But I'd never gotten to it. Ooh, girl, let me tell you, I blew my voice out trash talking because like I was in the audience. I wasn't even on it, but it was just like so hilarious, just like watching them trash talk. And then the final one is the audience against the panelists, which, it was, oh my God, it was so much fun. I totally want to be on the panel next year.
Every year.
Who were the final 2 monsters?
Oh my God, I don't even remember.
Okay.
I do. Yeah, I do. It was the gentleman from Buffy, the ones, the silent ones. And we had the gentleman. The panelists had, I can't remember the name.
Sorry, I put you on the spot there.
No, it's okay. Like it just like literally left my brain. But they were from, I can't remember, something city, Dead City or something like that. I don't remember.
Dark
something
City?
city. What? I'm sorry?
Was it Dark City?
I can't hear you.
Was it Dark City?
Maybe. I think so. Was it like they were like aliens or something? I think. I don't remember.
Yeah, they would like mess with time and stuff. Yeah, I bet that was
them. Those guys. Okay. I don't remember what they were called, but we won. The audience won.
Very nice.
So
every year people come out of that.
That's it. Yes, Joe. That's
the Strangers. There you go. People come out of that with their voices blown out every year. Like we've learned that Saturday night, if we run into people and their horse, we're like, "You went to Monster Mash, didn't you?"
Yep. totally blew my voice out because I was trash talking. So yes. So hopefully next year you guys will be able to go to some other things. So what are a few that you kind of wanted to go to that you weren't able to get to?
Sure. Oops.
You're good.
Okay. I have like a precariously balanced
so
camera.
Suddenly you're upside down. We shouldn't.
Yes, then yeah. It's the camera, not me. I promise I'm not falling down. So I wanted to go to Monster Mash. I desperately wanted to go to Monster Mash. Did not make it to that one. I've been wanting to go to the fantasy cocktails and confessions, I believe is what he does. Yeah. So
that was right up against. I think that was right up against Monster Mash too.
They almost always are. If I am still awake at that time at con, then I'm out on the back porch just trying to chill. So, how about you, Jesse? Did you have ones that you wanted to see?
Yeah, there's a lot of so to let people know, there's stuff going on all throughout the day. Like you've got panels happening from starting at 10 a.m. And just fascinating topics and stuff. And then the tone kind of changes a little bit after the dinner break. We do a dinner break from 7 to 8:30. And after that, there's still more stuff to do, but that's when the more lively interactive panels, there are those during the day too, but kind of the big hitters come out after
party panels. The party panels.
Yeah, on both Friday and Saturday. So that's where you get the Monster Mash, you get cocktails and confessions, you get bedtime stories, which I hope Venessa will tell us about pretty soon, because that's the best version of author readings you'll ever go to.
For real.
And that's also when a lot of the stuff comes out. Like Friday night, we had this year was karaoke hosted by shout out to Deacon Kane and God Sauce Entertainment. They're amazing hosts. And that one just blew up. They went on well past the scheduled end time because there was a line and people were just having too much fun. We also had a drag show it was called Heads Will Roll, an immersive gaming drag experience. So it was like a D&D themed drag show that we did. That was Friday night too. That sounded amazing. We've had burlesque in the past, like geeky themed burlesque that have been great. And then Saturday we had the dance party. Like a lot of that evening stuff
this year. I made it to the dance party this year for the first time ever too.
Yeah, and that was a good one. So there's just always stuff to do. As a lot of those evening ones are the ones I'd like to make it to. But even during the day, there's there are always at least three or four panels during every day that I'm like, if I could just get away, I'd love to just hear people talk about this topic. Some of them in the learn track too, because we get some absolutely fascinating topics where you'll have someone with a strange little area of expertise that they'll come and tell you something that you just never thought about before. And that's great because a big part of what defines, I think, our community is this intellectual curiosity, just this interest in whatever's weird, whatever's new, whatever you don't know about, and kind of sharing each other's geeks, So the evening entertainment I hope to make it to next year mostly, but would like to go to everything.
I know, right? At some point, you'll have gone to everything. So, yeah, I think one of the things that makes there are a lot of things that make Multiverse particularly special because, not all other cons have them. But one of the things I think is a really a strength of Multiverse is the learn track. Allison, will you tell us a little bit more about the learn track and what it is?
Sure. So we decided when we started the convention that we wanted to be able to talk about nerdy and geeky things from an academic perspective, but done in a way that the regular layperson could understand and maybe get a deeper appreciation or understanding of something. There have been some that are a little more academic, and then there have been others such as I remember one of the ones in 2020 when we did virtual con, when I was actually able to go to panels. Tanya Ransom did what the anatomy of sirens and mermaids would have to be in order to actually be real, what sort of internal organs.
She did dragons this year. She did the anatomy of dragons this year.
She did did she? Okay. Yeah. I saw the dragons thing, but I wasn't sure exactly what it was. So I didn't get to make it to it. But yeah, she comes up with some amazing stuff. I would honestly just sit in the audience and listen to Tanya for hours.
Agreed.
Don't tell her though. It'll make your head huge. So.
And one thing I thought was cool with the learn track this year was that we had some stuff that was like Allison was saying, a little bit less academic. Were you about to?
No.
Did I cut it? Okay.
Go ahead.
We had one of our sponsors this year, Chaotic Good Fitness, did some really cool stuff in there. One of them was called Dino Nuggies and Beyond, a neurodivergent guide to fitness and nutrition. And that was just amazing. That was like an act from a person who is neurodivergent, like giving a perspective on how you can actually approach nutrition within the boundaries of what you feel comfortable with, and in a way that actually is, you know, manageable and nutritious for you. So there's stuff that's geared not toward just being informative, but toward actually being helpful in a practical way. I thought that was a cool addition.
And Kira is not just neurodivergent. Kira is also a health and fitness professional. Like that's what they do for a living. So it's not, you know, you have a professional human being up there talking about things that don't get talked about in health and wellness settings very often anyway. So yes, I like, there were people that I heard at the con talking about that and how amazing those particular classes were that Kira did. And I think Kira had a great time too. So
yeah,
they really seemed to have a blast. That was great. Always love it when our sponsors are happy.
Absolutely.
Yes, for sure. Some of the other things we also get into, we have a meat track, right? So can you explain the concept of the meat track? And y'all, this is MEET.
It's all about kielbasa. Is really
well,
what
I was talking at Multiverse to a group of gay guys at JordanCon, I think, last year. And so I said meat track, and I was like, that's MEET. And they were like, we'd be okay either way. It'd be fine.
That's fair.
Totally fair.
Bring on the bacon.
Bring on the bacon.
Bring on the bacon. That's fantastic.
Yes.
Yes. So the meat track run by Gigi, who is just amazing at creating an atmosphere. If you ever need an atmosphere created of any sort, Gigi can do it. It's with nothing. Like this year, they changed her room on her last second, and she had a boardroom table that wouldn't move, whereas normally she's got it all set up kind of like a cozy, I don't know, parlor type feel. And this time she had to do boardroom feel, and it still felt amazing. This was her brainchild, I think. I think Gigi wanted to have this sort of meetup track.
Yeah, I think there was a concept of it already floating around, and I think I tapped her for it. Actually, I think I tapped Gigi for it because I was like, "Oh, I know somebody who would be great for that." So, but she made it what it is, right?
Yes. Oh, 100%. That's it. Went from like when we were deciding what tracks to have, we were looking at like we wanted something that was social. That was like our concept didn't get a whole lot farther than that. It was like, let's do social meetups from people of different affinity groups, etc. And you know, not a bad idea, but it was kind of a new idea. We're like, well, we'll see if people show up for it. Then you got Gigi on it, and it turned into something that, like, in a lot of cases, it's our best attended track. A lot of the things they do in there, like, it's just turned into a really special and unique thing that we have. And that's, you got to give 100% of that to Gigi.
Yeah.
Well, you have to give some to Ana Puerta too, because Ana came along and she's the assistant director of the meat track, and she brought in the idea of divinity, where there's tea readings, and I think she did her first one of those in 2022, if I'm correct. And it was so large that the number of people could not fit in their room. And so this year they broke it into two separate things, and they had one during the day and one in the evening time. And again, still just hugely attended. And there's a lot of paranormal meetups and things like that go on in there, which are a lot of fun.
Yeah, witchy meetups.
Witchy meetups, yes. Yeah. I think there was tarot and maybe a Ouija board. I don't remember if they did Ouija this year.
I don't think they did. I think she's steering away from Ouija. I think they had a traumatic Ouija experience.
Oh dear. Okay. Is that why my things came back to me haunted? I was just
yes. Okay. That's exactly right.
Joe's got a comment worth noting right here.
Oh,
well, one of the things that happened in the meat track previously that was somewhat legendary.
Oh yes. Okay. I was looking at the comments, but he's saying so. One of the things that happened not this year, but last year. Go ahead, Joe. Cue it up. It was an impromptu. Oh, put it up. Where'd it go?
This is going to go on continual after dark.
That makes me laugh every time I watch it.
Every time.
What you just saw was author AJ Hartley, and I couldn't tell from the video who the other person.
The other person is Adam Stemple. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was AJ Hartley and Adam Stemple.
That was two of our guests, y'all. That was two of our guests. So
ended up doing a spontaneous unicorn joust.
Yeah, we couldn't have unicorn joust this year because they put a freaking table in the middle of the room. So
that's okay.
Yes,
it will come back
next year. Speaking of which, what a great segue. So for the last 3 years, Multiverse has been in the kind of the Sandy Springs area of Atlanta. But next year we are trekking southward, correct? What's going on?
We are.
What's going on?
So what's going on then? All right. So I guess actually technically for the last 4 years, again, although one was virtual, we've been at a hotel in Dunwoody. And we outgrew it basically. Like they did some renovations that cut into some of the space that we had, and we were really squeezing in at that point anyway to try to fit as we're growing. So we went looking around and absolutely fell in love with the Hilton in Peachtree City, a little bit the southern side of the metro area. Mm-hmm. It is just far enough outside of the city to where it feels like you're in some kind of like lovely little resort town, but it's like everything you need is right there. Everything you could possibly want is still very close to the city. And it's a beautiful hotel. The surroundings are amazing. It has all the space that we need. The staff has been absolutely wonderful. When we went and visited it, we went to we looked at, I'd say close to a dozen hotels to look for our new spot. And this is the first one, I think the only one since we started this that we've ever walked around and then said, this is it. This is home for sure. Yeah. And with what it affords us, the extra space and all that, plus the surroundings. Peachtree City it's honeycombed with about 100 miles of gorgeous trails for hiking, biking, golf carts, all that stuff. Everything that the hotel offers, we're so excited that the three of us kept having to stop ourselves a couple months before this convention and be like, no, we still have to do this one first, like keeping ourselves from jumping ahead to next year. But it's amazing, and their staff is doing some really cool stuff with us. Like, so every time that a convention does their thing at a hotel, we have to bring the hotel something in exchange for using their space. What these folks wanted to do, and we love it, is they are offering a bunch of different packages that we can do related to food and beverage kind of things, since everybody's got to eat and most people, or a lot of people, like to drink too. So they're offering a lot of ways for you to go ahead and get your food settled ahead of time, buy meal packages. There are some fun classes they're doing, like a cocktail mixology class, a wine tasting. We got stuff like that people can go ahead and kind of set up your weekend ahead of time. Get your food taken care of, and the food, folks, it's good. They were nice enough to feed us when we were down there, and it is delicious. So to help us make the hotel happy and meet our obligation there, we're encouraging everybody to take a look at those meal packages, and it's a great deal if you want to go ahead and get that settled ahead of time. But the hotel itself,
those are available on the registration page right now.
Yes, when you go to get to a membership on the registration page, you'll see that. You'll have the membership options, it's our early bird prices currently. So there's adult memberships, then there's ages 7 to 17 or $20 less, and then under 7's free. And then you'll also see those meal packages and the mixology class, the wine tasting, all those that you can just add to your cart and get them at the same time.
If you're not sure what kind of if you want to do the meals or any of the classes, you can do those later also, correct? You can do those separately later. Cool.
Yeah, you can get your membership now, come back and get the rest later. But yeah, the hotel is looking absolutely amazing.
Joe said, just FYI, we would all travel to Motel 6. You're the ones that make it home. That being said, I am super excited for this. I am too old to stay in a Motel 6. So we are not going to a Motel 6 if I have anything to say about anything. So yes, and that's the link to the venue if you guys want to go. We've put up photos of the space. So Allison, what are you most excited about the new hotel?
All the green space. So I'm a nature girl. That's kind of like my way of worship. You know what I mean? Like if I need to go and reset, or
Go touch grass.
I want to feel better with the universe, I go outside, and there is so much green space. There's areas if we wanted to do morning yoga, there's a place for that. There's an indoor pool if people want to, swim a little bit. All of the spaces that our current tracks will be in are bigger and better and away from one another enough so that if you have Monster Mash in one room yelling at one another, it will not disturb the panel in the next room. The dealer hall will be bigger than it was. And also, again, will not be backing up to any of the track rooms. So we won't have, I know this year we had a couple of times where there was someone in the Mark Gunn, the lovely Celtic
musician,
Celtic geek music.
Yes.
Music. He comes each year and plays for us, and we absolutely adore his stuff. And he though was in the dealer hall and was backing up to one of the track rooms, and they were like, "Can you guys please be a little quieter?"
Yes.
I was like, "Yes, I'll go that way."
Yes.
So, but we won't have that problem anymore. And honestly, y'all, it feels. We walked in and saw it, and it just felt like coming home.
Yes.
It felt like the right place for us. So
yes,
maybe some more movie stuff.
Yes, that is the plan.
That's one of the big things too, is there's room for us to grow. Like we're being careful with that, not try to add too much too quickly, but we have the room to when we want to. And there's also, just for people hanging out, there is so much, like outside of the actual convention meeting rooms and all that, so much hangout space, like every configuration of bar, chairs, couches, everything. It's just so thoughtfully and comfortably set up. Also, the rooms are super nice themselves. They're very, very like smartly laid out. Quality's great. Everything's clean and nice.
And everyone has a balcony. And
everyone has a
balcony.
Yes, you will definitely get your steps in.
If you want to
get your steps in.
If you want to. Because you don't have to set foot outside the hotel if you don't want to.
Nope.
But if you want to get your steps in, there's plenty of space.
There is.
Plenty of space. One of my favorite things. Oh, Rosie says it's hard to choose what to go to, and things I definitely hate I missed, but I also enjoyed what I went to during the same time block. Yeah, that's always the problem at all cons, right? I mean, that's the best problem for a con to have, is that there's so much cool stuff going on. You just want a clone of yourself, right? And I think that's also why, like, I'm glad that we're not, even though we have a lot of extra room to like create additional tracks if we want. Eventually, we would like to have a film track. Eventually, we would like to have a film track, but we need to expand the attendance first, right? So I'm super excited for where we're going to go with this. But one of my favorite things I've got a lot of favorite things about the new hotel, but so Go Indy Now on Sunday afternoons has This Week in Indies at noon Eastern time every Sunday. And Joe always has to do it from like some random place in the hotel. Like one time he literally did it on the staircase that kind of overlooked the convention area and stuff. But we will have an actual room for podcasting and for video blogging and for doing interviews. If people want to do interviews with people to then air later, we will have a dedicated room for that. So I'm really excited about that because I don't think that that's something that most conventions have. So, there's another thing that a lot of conventions don't have that we have, and that's the sensory break room. Do you guys want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So one of the things that I know I tend to have an issue with, if there's too much going on and too many people talking and people coming at you too quickly, I need a place to get away, and I need it to be quiet, and I need it to be calm and just take a little while to get the crazy out of my brain. And that's what the sensory break room is. We have a place where you go in, it's low lighting. There is usually a sound machine, just with some white noise on. They're coloring books. It's just really soothing. There's no food or drink in there at all, other than just some water if you want it. But just to get away and have, a place to reset, especially if you're someone coming to a convention, you don't have a room on the premises, it can be hard to find that. So, since year one.
And sometimes you just need like 10 minutes. I just need 10 minutes, and you don't have to worry about going outside and, dealing with people, like you never know who you're going to run into outside. Right. So yeah, I love that. I've literally never set foot in it ever for like all the reasons we've already talked about, but I'm so happy it's there. So yes. So, let's see, Jesse, did you talk about what you're excited about for the new hotel? I can't remember.
I think I covered a good bit of it. Yeah. Okay. But a couple other like minor things to cover is because it's like the trip, if you're flying in, the trip from the airport to the hotel is a much nicer drive and about the same amount of time as it currently is. It's nicer because this way you're driving through like nice scenic countryside instead of driving through the middle of Atlanta to get to the hotel. So,
and it actually probably takes less time because, you're not going to run into that, sometimes downtown Atlanta gets congested just because, just for some magical reason, it just decided it wanted to be a traffic jam at, I don't know, like 10:48 a.m. So yes, so you don't have to worry about that at all. So probably in most instances, it actually will take less time.
And definitely less stress. A lot less stress.
And way less
we're working on a couple of I don't have details on this yet, but we're working on a couple of options to help people make a smooth and an easy transition from the airport too. Like if you don't have somebody coming to pick you up, we're working on some options to make sure you get to the hotel like super easily. So that's a solid one. And for folks that are coming from around Atlanta, if you're on the north side, we'll be a little further away from you now. But we're just hoping that an extra 30 minutes drive will be worth it to you for a weekend of fun.
I mean, I figure if you live in Atlanta anyway, you're used to going through the city, so it's really not as traumatic.
Everybody knows Atlanta. Atlanta's an hour away from Atlanta.
That part.
Everybody knows that. So. The location's just great, and parking's free on site. If you're driving in, it's free parking all weekend, which if you've ever had to park literally anywhere in Atlanta, that's hard to come by. So that'll save you a little money too. But really it's just, there's no way to explain the feel of the place. We just want everybody to come check it out. Just come this year and you'll see. Multiverse has always felt a little different just in terms of what's going on and who's there. And now the place itself is going to feel a little different too. There's a lake across the street, a gorgeous lake with like the leaves turning for the fall. Like it's an amazing spot, and we just want everybody to come check it out.
And there's so many outdoor spaces too. There are multiple little courtyards off of some of the convention rooms, like the meat room particularly, like literally has doors out onto the courtyard, right? And there's a little gazebo that I absolutely want to get Mark Gunn out there in, I think Gigi wants to actually have the music meetup, like go out into the courtyard, which I think would be cool. So Joe says in the chat, can you all talk about the amazing Kitchen Witch and the Con Suite and what lays ahead for that?
Sure. So Amy is our kitchen witch. She has been since year one. And her favorite thing to do, I think, might be to feed people. I really think that is her main purpose these days. Like, she just really loves to feed people. And she doesn't just feed the average con suite type of food. She makes sure that everything has an allergy and, issue-free version. So everything has a vegan version. Everything has a gluten-free version. There's no latex used in the con suite, just to make sure that all of the different, issues that people might have in terms of diet are covered. So when we say that we want to be inclusive, we mean all of it. We mean that as well. She also serves full meals. It's not, just only grab and go. There are grab and go things. There are sodas and chips and all of the normal stuff, but then she serves full meals. So in reality, if you wanted to, you could spend your weekend eating only what the Kitchen Witch has. Lots of people do, which is a great option, especially if you don't want to spend extra money. Mm-hmm. This year, she did a curry that I heard rave reviews about. I did not manage to get my hands on that one.
It was a Jamaican meal, not
Jamaican.
Indian. We've done Indian in the past, but this year it was Jamaican. Yeah.
Yes. So, and she actually had each meal sponsored by someone. So she always traditionally does tamales on Friday nights. We always have her homemade tamales. And so she did that this year. And then she also did the curry. She did a Southern breakfast sponsored by Agenda Benda. Mm-hmm. And what am I forgetting?
The Indigenous American.
Yes.
Oh, that was so good.
So good. Yes.
Yeah, that was so good.
But yes, so Amy does an amazing job making sure everyone is fed. She really, really does. We had people with kids show up who were like, "Oh, I don't know that they'll eat the curry. What else do you have?" And she made them mac and cheese. Mm-hmm. So there's always something.
Yeah. We have the most amazing con suite that I've ever been to a con.
It's part of how you can tell that Allison and I are from the deep South, because it's ingrained in us at a bone deep level that if you want to make people happy, you feed them.
Well, I mean, that's not just a Southern thing. Like, I come from an Italian background. It is exactly the same.
That is the same. Yes,
right.
I mean, Irish is the same. I mean, I feel like that's a pretty common thing among most humans is, you feed people. It's a big guy too. Oh, a big guy thing. Like, were you talking about like the food? I'm not sure what that was about. Yes, it's a big guy thing too. Like, I think the mac and cheese.
Yes.
So, okay. Yes. All right. So, what else? Is there anything else we do that you guys feel like we should cover? Did we miss something?
I would like to just take one moment and shout out to everyone who helped out particularly on Thursday night and Friday morning.
Let's talk about that for a minute.
Oh, sure. I would love to. You might want to turn on your profanity.
No. This is absolutely a swear zone. I have the biggest potty mouth. Sure. I mean, you know me. You've met me. Come on now.
Yeah. So our hotel this year, we had a new event planner, and I think that they vastly underestimated what would go into all of this, which really they shouldn't have. Seeing as I sent them, I think it was something like a 50-page document at the beginning saying these are the things that we want.
And it's with diagrams.
Yes.
Like literal diagrams of every room.
There were 2 diagrams of every room in case they liked them colored versus not colored, or I have issues.
It was like, this is what we need, and this is when we need it by in each instance.
And it's also on a room by room basis. And it's the 3rd consecutive year we've needed that same stuff too. This wasn't new.
Yeah. This was not new information. It was a new person, but it was not new information. They've known what we need. But yeah, they did nothing on Thursday. Everything was supposed to be set and ready for us when we got there on 3 o'clock on Thursday, so that we could set up. And pretty much nothing was set up at all. At that point, our people started clearing rooms from the previous event. Stacking chairs, finding tables, doing all of that stuff. And I think we gave up around 11 o'clock that night, and decided, okay, well, we just have to get up early tomorrow. And they're supposed to be there at 6:30. They didn't show up till 7:30 the following morning. Jesse and I, neither one of us slept. And then we showed up, at 6:30, but no one else was there. That was cool. They did not finish the setup until I think the last room was when opening ceremony started. The last room they set up at 1 o'clock on Friday. So that was a bit of a nightmare. We normally have, from 3 o'clock on Thursday until 9 a.m. on Fridays when we start letting like the dealers into the dealer hall and stuff like that. So none of that was done. None of it.
Yeah. And
It
to let
was
everyone know why
the worst beginning.
Yeah, it's the reason that setup's important, and we have to have it done already when we get there, is because the setup that they do, that's what we set up on top of. Like, we have to put out so much stuff. Like, we have a pretty wild amount of signage, and the tech team has to come in, set up all the rooms, all the tech stuff, and there were no tables to put anything on. There was nothing. Like, we had nowhere to set up the entire thing until almost a full day later, and then the following morning ended up being just a mad scramble to try to get everything. But I think I'm gonna let Allison finish with what she was saying, because we did get it done, and that was through a whole lot
through
of
our
help.
people. We had a lot of amazing volunteers who just made it work.
And guests who came and helped. Joe was one of the he was one of the people in there helping pull stuff out of the rooms, and so we have and our tech ops folks, they were just on it. As soon as those tables were set up, they were like and they had extra this year, a little extra this year, because this year we did a new thing with closed captioning, right? So you want to talk about that for a second?
Yeah, that was so big shout out there to MMI and Vinny and Bill, and then also our tech folks, Cooper and Christy, who just did an amazing job. Like you said, everybody literally everybody. It ended up being Multiverse who set up for Multiverse. Like, we did the hotel's job and did it. I mean, I'm gonna say better than they did. And we got it done. We got it launched. We were absolutely exhausted. And the two of us actually missed a lot of the Friday night stuff because we both went and just passed out fully early. But yeah, the captioning thing, that was an extra thing, because we were doing something new this year. What we decided to do, we had tried out some in-room captioning last year that was not ideal. It's trial and error. We got to try stuff out. And we had TVs set up that were displaying, like, running captioning on what was being said at the panel table. It was very inaccurate and ended up leading to a lot of like funny mistranslations and things like that. But with those being displayed up at the front of the room, they just became distracting. We heard from a lot of the folks who actually would like to have used the captioning that it ended up being more distracting than helpful. So back to the drawing board on that one. What we did this year was to try to make it where people could access the captioning live on their own devices. So the way we set that up was we had a program that was pulling the audio feed from the mixer and running it through a captioning program that was actually very accurate. And then we broadcast each room in a special channel on our Discord. So you could go into a room, say you went into the right track, and you could just go on your phone, your tablet, your laptop, whatever, go onto our Discord, which everyone should be on, and go into the room that said right track captioning. And then you would just see a feed of what was going on live at that moment that was coming through the panel table. So one of the benefits of that too is that it's capturing the audio feed. So if someone, especially who might be hard of hearing, would like along with the captioning, a clearer audio feed, you could actually put on your own headphones or your earbuds and listen to your audio feed while canceling out the noise around you. So that actually ended up working quite well. We're going to spruce it up a bit for next year. I think we'll be able to get it working a little better. It would have worked better this year had the tech team actually had the additional 22 hours they should have had to set up and test and everything, but they were just trying to get it all done at the last second and did an amazing job with what they had.
They really, really did. I think one of the things that really symbolizes the success of the event is that no one who wasn't involved in the fiasco or was told about the fiasco, nobody knew it happened. Yep. Nobody knew that everything at the beginning was a big fucking dumpster fire. Like, nobody knew. Yeah. And I think that is a perfect event, even with everything going wrong and like your hair on fire and you're running through, flailing, even all that, it was still a perfect event because none of the attendees knew it had happened. They thought everything.
That's how you know you've got a really great team.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because everybody's on board with the same idea, which is that we're here to put on a show. People have spent their time, money, energy getting ready for this thing, traveling from 40 states around the country to be here. Like, we're going to make sure they have a good time. So no matter what the hotel did to us or didn't do that they were supposed to or whatever, we gotta put on a show. So keep that shit in the back of the house and make sure everybody has a good time. And that's what everyone in the team was on the same page about that and pulled it off. I mean, it was, for people who weren't there, I'm telling you, it was miraculous how well it went out front, considering what was going on.
For real, for sure. There was.
It felt like the best one yet. I mean, attendance was up. There were more people there. The vibe was just immaculate, in my opinion. It was so.
It was the best vibe of any con that we've had so far. It sincerely was the best, happiest feeling. Like, you just walk around and people were just happy. There wasn't a lot of down. There was no angry that I heard. You know, that's what you want, right? You want. Go ahead.
Oh, go. I just wanted to shout out our new hotel management, Karen and some other folks from the Convention and Visitors Bureau in Peachtree City, because they did something we thought was very smart, which is they actually came to the con on Saturday.
Yeah, I've never ever seen that happen. Where
they came, they brought their kids, and they had a blast. And it was such a good idea on their part, because now they're not going to be, getting around to con time and wondering and not really having an idea what it looks like. We gave them a tour of the whole space. Their kids went and played in the gaming room. We took them to the con suite. We showed them around. They know exactly what this is going to look like. So that was really smart on their part. We've been very happy with our dealings with them so far. And the Convention and Visitors Bureau seems to be very much on board with, they're excited to have us down there. So.
That makes me so happy. And, that's really cool, because it also makes the hotel people invested in the convention, because now they're part of us. Yes, it's not just like we're there in their space. They came and attended our event. They're part of the Multiverse fam now. Sorry.
And we were the first con for both of them. Like, for all of them, we were the first con they'd ever been to.
Really? Oh, that's awesome.
So Laura brought her husband and kids, and Karen brought her daughter. And Ash came dragging a not so necessarily enthused husband behind her, because he was missing something he wanted to do, but she needed him to drive her. So she had a blast.
I hope he did too. I hope he found something of interest.
So. I think he did. I felt like he wanted to stay a little grumpy, but he was having a good time. And it was so fun to see. Like, this actually ties in with just one of our favorite things about Multiverse in general, was that this was a person, Ash from the Convention and Visitors Bureau. Hi, Ash, if you see this. Came to this just to kind of check it out, because the way she explained it, she didn't really know that conventions existed. She's really into a bunch of really geeky stuff, but didn't know there was a place people get together to talk about it and do things. Yeah. And she just lost her mind. Like, she came in and was walking around seeing this, and I've just never seen that excitement of somebody being like, "Oh my gosh, there's like hundreds and hundreds of people that are like me," and like, oh my god. She was just so excited. I feel
like that's why we do it. Like, that's exactly why we do it. That
will chill bust.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Same.
It's that. It's seeing people feel like they have found their place. Like, that's there's nothing better for us than that, I think.
Yes.
That's the whole point.
It is.
Exactly. And I think that's actually yes, we're going to talk about that in just a second. So, Joe, to answer your question in chat. So we're getting just in the last couple of minutes of the show. So tell us when next year's event is.
Sure. It's the third weekend of October again. It will be October 18th through 20th this year.
Yep.
At the, I'm going to get the name wrong because it's a long name. It's the Hilton Atlanta Peachtree. No. I got nothing.
I just search. I do a Google search for Peachtree City Hilton Conference, and then it comes up on the internet. Google finds
technically called the Hilton Peachtree City, but for some reason that name sounds reversed to me, so I call it the Peachtree City.
There's also two Hiltons in Peachtree City, so you've got to look for the conference one. Yeah,
it's the Hilton Peachtree City Atlanta Hotel and Conference Center.
That's it. That's the
It's a
part.
very long name.
Yes.
Just go to our website. You'll find it.
You'll find it. Multiversecon.org/venue. It's right there.
Yes.
Also, and to answer Joe's questions, guest applications open on January 1st, and they will be open until April 1st, I believe. Through March 30th, I believe that's what we decided on. Our Learn track that we talked about, that's the academic track. The call for papers is a little bit different than the guest application, but that opens up around the same times. It'll be sometime in January, but those are open until the end of June, and so that's a slightly different process. We will also have applications for our Create room, which we didn't talk about, which is a giant craft room where you can go and learn stuff. There will be a separate app open for that. I'm not sure the dates on that though. What about vendor apps? That's not my department.
Those also will open on January 1st for vendors, for artists. So those two.
Yep.
Awesome.
And we should plug the Create track just really quickly because they do an amazing job. This year, I was so sad that I could not make it to the mushroom building class. Like they built these amazing mushroom displays. Yes, they were so cute. I think that was Becca of the Evergreen Borough did those, and I'm so desperate to get there, and I missed it. But they have crafts that they teach you. You can do, crafting alongside and learn how to do something. Some of them are free. Some of them have a cost, just depending on the types of materials. But we also always have open crafting where you can just go in if you need a break. If you don't want to go to the sensory break room, you can go in and craft. You can, you can knit, you can paint, you can do origami. They have a little of everything in there. So
yes, it is awesome. Lainey does such a great job in that room. Aw, Joe's being nice to us. Joe says, I'm so
make
excited
us cry.
You all could not ask for 3 more awesome humans and friends to get this opportunity to shine. You have done so much for so many. You have all changed my life, and I know that I'm not alone in that. You all did that and deserve all the success this will bring, and you are all about to be the worst kept secret in Atlanta. From your fingers to the universe's ears, Joe.
Absolutely.
Yes. All right.
And thank you for all the support, Joe.
Yeah, we really have to give a shout out to Joe Compton and the Go Indie Now Network and all the hosts, because this past year, in addition to just supporting Multiverse in general, this past year, Joe and the other hosts, Ron Lahr and Madeline Dale, and I did JD Estrada, I think, did some interviewed guests and volunteers and staff and all kinds of people, just to keep up the hype every Friday night for a good portion of the year. So we just have to give a shout out to you too, Joe, because you help make it what it is as well. Yes. So, that's my husband right there. He said, one last thing. This may be about cocktails, but my wife drank all the mead that I like.
I drank all the mead too. I'll bring you some.
Clearly, you did not drink fast enough, my husband. So, all right. I feel like on that note, that is a great place to end. Please come visit us at Multiverse next year. We will be in Peachtree City at the Hilton Conference Center, whatever that big long name is, from October 18th to the 20th. Do you guys have anything else you want to say? No? Well, then you know what? It's always time to go indie now.